Hello, my name is Tiona Danton. I run the 100, 200, and 400, and my presentation today is on why I participate in track and what it means to me. When I was younger, I found track to be a fun sport. At 8 years old, I started to develop a passion for the sport. Reason being, I would participate in my school field day, and I would win the trophy for being the fastest girl overall. Even the boys I would beat. Picking me up from school was a nightmare for my mom. I would sing her ears, "Mom, I'm good at track and you should put me in track." This goes on for quite some time until she finally decided to get me in a track club. As I grew older, went to my first Junior Olympics, brought home 3 medals, I became even more obsessed. I started to eat, sleep, and breathe this sport. I now start thinking this is what I want to do in the future. After spending 2 years with the previous track club, my mom decided to join Alpha Elite. After becoming a 6-time national champion, you think I loved track then? Now is when I realized I'm not only obsessed, I became so passionate, dedicated, and more committed to the sport. Thanks to Coach Chris and the fellow coaching staff. Track means so much to me because I now understand more about the sport. I know this is my gateway to college and where I can further my education and work towards a better future.
Questions from the peanut gallery.
What made you, why were you so passionate about track? What made you fall in love with track? When I was younger, like I said, I used to always participate in my school field days, and I thought it was kind of fun beating little kids, so I kind of just took it upon myself to actually pursue this as a career.
You did track as a young age. What made you think that you like track and get more into it?
No, answer.
When I was younger, I thought it was fun to beat the little kids, so I took it upon myself to actually pursue this as a career.
Very nice, interesting.
Now I'm going to talk about this.
Alright, so what I heard a lot about track. It's great. It's what it is, the track club. And we wanted to know, definitely wanted to know how track impacted your life, being a part of this track club impacted your life. What we didn't hear, what I didn't hear, is anything about how it affected you academically. How does track transfer or relate to how you deal with school and your academics? The disciplines that you learn in track, how you apply it to other parts of your life. I didn't hear that in the presentation, and I was looking for some more of that. But overall, I think speaking was very eloquent. Try not to look down on the paper so much, sure that's why you practice. But you projected very well. You try to engage the audience with your eyes when you're not looking at the paper. So that's good. So improve on practicing not to read from the paper. So you need to know what you write, practice what you write so that you can look at the paper less. The paper is just to remind you, for some reason if you're getting off track, you take a quick gander at what you wrote, but you should know it in your head. Anybody else?
One question.
Well done, TT. Overall presentation, you basically give us pointers and explain who you are and your passion towards the sport. And I think that was well done.
I was impressed with the delivery and projection as Coach Lee indicated. But one other thing that I was particularly impressed with is you made a distinction between liking track or loving track as an 8-year-old, basically because you were winning. You were faster than the boys and the girls at field day, and that will let any kid like to do track. You're winning. right? But the distinction was that you said after coming to Alpha Elite, later in your track career, I guess, you really started to get obsessed with it, particularly because you were learning about track. So, if you don't mind, could you just speak a little bit on just anything in particular about track that you learning track and understanding track that really allowed this liking for track, because you're willing to be obsessed with track because you know understand track?
Like on my previous team, like we would just, we would assign some people and we would just go run. But like here we have like steps, like you said, we go to base training and we go to pre-competition and competition. So it's like I understand like this is the workout routine, this specific time zone, like competition, like base training it will be minded. So I understand that I would have to look at balance. I decided to practice pre-competition, so to start to get down to get ready for competition. And like learning more about it made me more interested in what to keep doing. Crystal Facing. I currently run the 200, 400, and 800. I started running track when I was 9 years old. In the beginning, I loved track. The track was a place where I felt accepted. It was a place where I could be myself and I had friends who cared about me. During my teenage years, I became very lazy and everything started to go downhill. Track became something I was forced to do, and I no longer did it because I had a passion. I used to dread going to track practice and track meets, and I was always looking for ways to get out of them. Now I am 14 years old and I still do track because I'm forced to run track, but I've decided to start working hard and make the most of it. Looking back, I'm thankful for track. Track played and still plays a major role in my life. Track has helped to boost my self-esteem and has helped me to gain many skills I will need in the future.
Only just get off the fence next time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I keep doing it.
Questions?
Can you name these friends, please?
Yeah, can you name them?
No, specifically.
Yeah,
Only Melissa.
What was the question?
Name your friends.
Really?
It's a question.
In the track team I was at before, I didn't really have much friends. It's like older kids and I felt kind of awkward. But when I joined Athlete Track Club and it was an all-girl team and there were kids that were around my age, I felt more comfortable and just like super sweet, I guess. Free spirit? Huh? Free spirit? Yeah. That's it.
Any other comments?
Yeah, well, presentation was good. Body language though, it's the same thing that you practice in training. The same body language you use there is the same thing you use in your presentation. Stand up straight, stand up tall.
Just feel busy right now.
Huh?
I said I kind of feel busy right now.
Feel this right now, okay. Alright. But overall I think it was well done. It looked like you practiced. Because you didn't have to look at the paper once, and it was fluent, which was great, right? But I hear you say that you don't like track that much anymore. However, track has done so much for you, so I think you need to read that essay again and listen to what you said track did for you, and try to regain that passion from that same essay, because what I'm hearing is track is important to you. I don't think you realize how much it is yet. Alright?
Crystal, well done. Brief, to the point. And what was good, that you were being very real about how you feel. And what I do admire about you is track is not your favorite sport. However, you still continue to do your best. You rise at the challenge, and with your posture and all of that, you will grow and blossom and learn as you go along to do more presentations. You'll have a proper posture. So this is just the beginning. Don't be intimidated about it. You'll get better. Take one day at a time and just improve on all the criticism. Love it.
I think you were gonna
Okay, you mentioned about self-esteem. I don't know if I missed a part of the other benefits. But I remember hearing self-esteem. But what other benefits you think track brings to you, if it hasn't done so already? What benefits you think futuristically that track can benefit you?
Track also has made me disciplined. So I follow directions in school. I don't listen to me, I listen to the teachers. The same way I listen to my coaches, I follow the directions. Listen to the directions my teachers give me in school. In the future, I think that track will help me with my speaking, since we're practicing speaking now, because I always have problems with presentation in schools in the future. That will help me with my high school presentations.
We can measure why my presentation is on what track means to me and why I what track means to me is having freedom and that you don't have to depend on other people. You can enjoy running and learning new things outside of school. For example, angles at which you put your body at to run better and to make bigger steps while running. Why I participate in track is because it's the right sport for me and others don't suit me. Others don't suit me because I have a passion for track unlike other sports, for example, football, basketball, and soccer. What I mostly like about the 200-meter dash is the curve because I feel like I'm flying down the track. How I feel when I'm finished is tired. I feel like I did a good run. Good when I'm running.
Anyone?
Think you could beat me in a 200 meter?
Yes, say yes. Yes.
That was a bad essay. Bad presentation. Okay, good job, Melissa.
Melissa, we're not done yet. Listen, thought out, well put together, well presented. Just one thing, take deep breaths. Alright? Don't try to get through it so fast. Take deep breaths and just talk, okay? It's okay to just act like you're talking to us, like we're friends, and we just talk. You don't have to go so fast, alright? But overall, it was very great.
Wonderful, great presentation. You look like a news report. Very good. Yeah.
My name is Kristen Facey and I run the 1, 2, and 400 meter. I started running track when I was 6 years old. It all started when my dad asked my sister and I if we wanted to do track. My sister immediately said yes and was excited to race against other kids. But I didn't want to do track. But since my sister was doing it, I didn't have a choice. Over years of doing track, I've realized that it's not just about running. Even though track has made a huge impact on my life, I still imagine how my life would be if I didn't run track. Even though I don't have the passion and motivation that I used to have for track, I still try my hardest in practices and track meets so that I can use my talent to the best of its ability.
Yes. Nice. You're shaking.
So you said you did track because your dad asked you to, or because he told you to?
No, he asked
He asked us.
Okay.
My sister, she said yes, and I said no, but I didn't have a choice.
I was just checking in because I know your dad.
Why don't you like track? You're like so good.
Well, Actually, I've never really wanted to do track. I've always wanted to do gymnastics and cheerleading, but no one really notices that I'm actually the one who didn't want to do it because I don't act like I don't want to do it. I still use my talent because I have
You have a real talent. Okay, what are the motivational factors that make you want to do that? Because you mentioned that you really don't want to do it, but because you were told. What makes you want to do it?
Like I said, that if I didn't use, once you have a talent, you have to use it. It would be wrong not to use the talent that you were given. And
That's it, baby. That's it.
What made you not want to do track when your dad asked you and not try it out?
I've always wanted to do gymnastics. I've always just had my heart set on gymnastics. I wanted to be like Gabby Douglas and Serena Williams and whenever it's on St. Paul or something.
Okay, after 3 events that you mentioned, 1, 2, and 4, if you had to drop one of those events, which one would it be? And if you had to keep one, which one would it be and the reason why?
I would drop the 100. And if I could keep any race, it would be the 400 because I feel like that's like I've always been running the 400. I've run it since I started track, and I think it's just a race I run the best because it's like in the middle of distance and sprints.
And I run the 100, 200, and 50. I like running track because I get to travel all around the world and make new friends. I remember one time I went to Virginia and I met this girl named Alicia McCurry. She was very funny and was good competition. I like running track because I get to be competitive. And each year I get to see if I progress in my sprints. I also have to remember that that track teaches me that when you run, you also have to remember your education because it teaches you have to work hard on and off the track. Like with education, you have to do good to pass your tests and keep good grades. And with track and field, you have to run hard so you can make it to junior Olympics.
Is that a picture of you on your shirt?
You wanna.
She look like you.
Come in.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Well done, brief to the point. What I admire about you is that you recognize and you identify sport with your education, and what sport does, it makes you want to work harder, yes, and education makes you work hard to have a balance.
Yeah. That was the connection that I wanted everybody to make. I wanted everybody to make that connection, as I mentioned that earlier. Connection between the work that you have to put out, the discipline and the work that you put out in the track, how it applies to the work, and the discipline that you have to put out in the academics as well. And so to make that connection, it's good that you recognize that and was able to put that into your speech as well.
Alright, I would just like to echo what Mrs. Burgess and Coach Lee just said about the connection between track and education. Specifically, as it relates to what you have to put in. What you have to put into track. You mentioned if you want to make it to Junior Olympics, and you parallel that with what you have to put into education, more or less, if you're going to be successful, if you're going to meet your academic goals. That resonates with me because I know your commitment to track long before you were an alpha. But as you became an alpha, you're pretty much always the first one to practice. And you know, you've just basically done all that is asked of you. With regard to education, I remember at the beginning of the season you were slipping in one of your classes, and once you found out that that is going to be an hindrance from you having to compete, that you quickly turned that around. So you're not just speaking, you have actually lived what you're saying. So that's what makes it powerful, right? So I would like to personally commend you on your attitude in general. I did notice, however, today you were a little bit nervous for a simple time trial, and I don't know if this goes outside the scope of this presentation, but I would just like to ask you, why were you nervous, and how do you think you can improve that nervousness?
I was nervous because I know that for a specific time, and if I don't do that time, I'll get in trouble with my parents.
Tell the truth.
Hey, why is there so much stuff? Who's making a comment? You're making a comment, David?
No.
I shouldn't be hearing anybody not making a comment.
And if I could improve that,
You know what improves not being nervous? Getting rid of
having
nervousness?
confidence.
Practice. Practice. If when you practice something enough, it becomes second nature. Just like you practice walking. Are you nervous to walk? Exactly. Because you practice walking, it's something you do every day, it comes natural. Same thing with running, same thing with academics. Enough practice, get rid of nerves, because it becomes natural. You're just going out to do what you do.
I think, not to be in total disagreement with Coach Lee, but I think no matter how well you practice, I don't think it's a practice issue. As I had mentioned, I think you're very dedicated. But why you see Usain Bolt and those guys do all this crazy stuff, you know, and they understand, because they are actually nervous. That is just a mechanism by which they use to improve not being nervous. I don't know if it's okay to be nervous, but what I do know is that you have to find a way to overcome that nervousness. So people do crazy stuff when they get to the start line. They probably try to intimidate others, they just try to do stuff to get them relaxed. So maybe you ought to start to figure out. I don't think this is something that you can coach. Maybe as a sports psychologist could help you with that. I don't think that would be something out of my realm of how to deal with that nervousness. Alright? But I can just advise you that you have to think about stuff that relaxes you. Alright? Or stuff that takes you away from the fact that you're going to be competing. Alright? Because when you start thinking about the race that intensely as you were, you couldn't even breathe. You were there and you were just too nervous. Right? You know, it's almost impossible for you to perform at your best ability. Alright? So it's about anxiety management. So you have to just try and figure out a way. And maybe you're going to have 3 or 4 different ideas. Right? You can mention it to the coaches. And we just have to help you through. But the practice does help you to feel more confident, as you said. And even when you're confident, you can still be a little anxious. Right? But that's probably the first step in just making sure that you're good at your craft. If your dry face is going to become second to nature, then you're not going to worry about your dry face. right? I don't think you're particularly worried about anybody getting to 30 meters before you, right? No, because you know your reaction is probably the best in your age group in the country, right? But you know, as you get further down the track where speed endurance and toleration of lactic acid comes in, then you're not so, that's the area that we need to work on. So if you work on those areas, as Coach Reed said, then that will probably let you start feeling more confident and thus reduce the anxiety. So, alright?
If that doesn't work, picture everybody in their underwear.
No,
That's what they say.
Ariana?
Don't think of yourself winning. You're the one winning the race.
Say a
The
little
old
prayer.
people say that, I think it works.
I tell my girls to say a prayer before they go. Whenever I go into surgery, I have to go to do surgery another hour, I say a little prayer over my patient. I say a prayer over my hands. That God will guide me to do the best of my abilities to cause no harm. And you say a little prayer every time you get on the track. Say a little prayer.
What?
Say a little prayer. Pray to God. Pray to God. Give God praise. Give God thanks. Say a little prayer.
Just to reiterate what Chris mentioned about the norm of being nervous. I believe it is the norm to be nervous, but at a certain level, if you're confident in yourself, nervousness will actually go. You are the best. You are going to win that race. Just be positive in everything. And as what Dr. Casey mentioned about saying a prayer and let go, breathe, and just go ahead. And it will come, everything. You will win. You are the best. You're not going to lose. But you get really intimidated when you're not sure about the race. And that's what will throw you off. So be confident. All right?
Can I add something with poor performance? Always remember, when we don't prepare for tests, whether it's in the classroom or whether it's outside of the classroom, what are the results? Poor performance. Okay? So, yes, the 4 P's. Practice, prevent, poor performance. Okay?
Hi, my name is Alicia Sutherland. I'm here to discuss why I participate in track and field and what does it mean to me. I will start off by talking about why I participate in track and field. I get to see and experience different things while traveling to different places for track and field. I learn things that put me ahead in what I do. And I also participate in track and field because of the friendships I build with some funny people. First, who doesn't love traveling? Because I do. Even if we're not going out of state, it's fun because I get a chance to see different scenery. Even if it is a bad or good, it gives me a chance to experience what it's like in different places. For example, there was a track meet about 2 years ago in which I saw them roasting a pig right outside in the open. And everyone was just walking by like it was normal. First of all, I have never seen that in Miramar when I'm outside walking around. And at first I was shocked by me seeing something so different while I was heading to a track meet. Well, I gained from that experience that when you go to different places, it's about like, wow, we can experience different stuff and see different stuff and notice what's new about the places that you go, which I did that while participating in track and field. Secondly, what I meant by it put me ahead in what I do, it made me learn about the anatomy, in which at first I did not know about. So I guess I can say it advanced me in where I'm at right now and further my knowledge. And as an example, being the Vastus brothers, I actually listened to what the Vastus brothers were. There's 3 of them. I remember that there's a medialis, a lateralis, and intermedialis. by participating in track. And it benefits me for learning about force and motion, and when I'm using it, applying it, and doing it while I'm on track, while I'm on the track, and while I'm in school too. It also made me know about it before my science teacher could talk about it. And we also took a test for that. Last but not least, over the years while I was participating in track, there's a lot of time that I put into track. I met a lot of people over the years and found friends that would keep me coming back even if we had a hard practice. It would be fun because we would crack jokes even if it was a rough day. They would always be there, so there's no way of getting away from it. I came to the conclusion just to friend these crazy people because I'm going to be here for the rest of my life until I go to college. Moving on to the second part, which is, what does track mean to me? Track and field means a lot to me due to it really being like a second routine or like a second half of me. Because other than school, it will always be second, even though school comes first. Because track, as I said, we put a lot of time in it, and we stay after school and everything. So it's like, hey, why not just put all your best into it? Because you're being here all the time with all these people, even on a Saturday. We're here on a Saturday morning, which most people don't get up to do, and exercise, basically. This is what track means to me, and also why I participate in track and field. I have been doing this since I was in 5th grade, so why quit now? I'm done. Question?
Any question, guys? Yeah, she was very clear.
Who are the friends that motivate you to come back to track?
The rocks, grass, and lizards. Haley, Tiona, Crystal, Malika, Kristen, Ariana, Moore, you know, everyone. Shout out. Okay.
Overwhelmed. It was all fun stuff, and I really enjoyed it. But I believe there's something missing. I'm not sure. I didn't hear what are your events. Do you like to run? What have you done in terms of, are you progressing? Are you regressing? Are you going to continue track after now? You're currently injured. What plans do you have? Do you just want to go sightsee?
I know.
Continue. I mean, that's all fun, and I love that because I'm bubbling. So let us hear what you have to
I do plan on continuing doing track after I pass this injury. I'll continue in college doing track, but I'll think about it during my life in college to see how I'm doing in my studies and everything, and see if I have extra time to do that. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And the events I do is the 400, the 800, the 15, and occasionally the 200.
All right, so you know what was great about that speech? It was very engaging. It was humorous. The audience enjoyed it because everybody was smiling, everybody was laughing. You made it fun. It was great. So that was a great presentation from that standpoint. The next time though, try to put more details, like as brothers were saying. Just get more details involved. Talk about your events, talk about your accomplishments, talk about your injury. You know, talk about stuff directly related to track. Outside of, you hear about all the things that you get to experience. You know, talk about, you tell us about the experiences that you've had because of track. I've seen the pig being roasted, you know, which is fun and great. But just remember the details, the reason for track. Talk about that some, alright? But overall, very nice presentation, very fun.
Oh, question?
Alright, I'm kind of on the fence in terms of, yeah, the fun stuff is great. It's always good to have fun. I think you're very comfortable because you're in debate, so I think you're comfortable with public speaking. Great also. The intent of this presentation is one that is serious. So fun is great, and I applaud that type of atmosphere. However, as it relates to the content, I thought that it was a little all over the place. I don't think it was properly sequenced. You were really jumping from one area to the next. And it was just really, you were having fun. And track should be fun, but this presentation, the fact that your parents are here on a Saturday, I guarantee you it's not about fun. It's not about having, this is not, the intent is not for this to be fun. Fine if you have fun doing it, but we have to accomplish the task that is at hand. And the things that Coach Lee indicated that was absent from the presentation, stuff that Mrs. Burgess indicated that was absent from your presentation. The other athletes, you need to take note of that, all right, and understand that as much as this is fun, your parents, including myself, are making sacrifices right here now. Dr. Facey just had to leave out to go do a delivery or whatever she goes to do at the hospital just now. So I'm just saying, this is, let's not lose the meaning or the intent of the presentation. And also, let us try to still project, but still try to be serious about it. It's a presentation. You're supposed to be educating us, while at the same time giving us a true feeling of how you really feel about track. Right? I think it was pointed, and Mrs. Burgess mentioned that, where are you going to go after your immediate track situation as it relates to college? Maybe a lot of us haven't thought about that, but I wouldn't hold it against Malika for not thinking about that. But you're approaching high school. This is time for you to start seriously thinking about these things. I know your dad has a lot of money, and you probably have the check written already where he's just going to pay for your education right away. You didn't speak about, how can that, I know education is serious to you, you're an A student, so I know it has to mean something to you, so you have to start thinking about how can this be a medium by which, you can accomplish your academic goals. All right, so not to be critical, but I'm just keeping it real, letting you understand that some things come naturally to you. You're in debate, so that stuff is great. But let's, for the next one, let's just try to still engage and be serious about the information that we are disseminating or we're giving out, and just make sure that we spend the time to really put in the work. All right.
To piggyback on that, you say humor can be a good part of a presentation, but it's important to remember, as long as it's not a comedy show, humor shouldn't be the main goal, right? It's good to alert the audience, awake the audience, make them smile, make them engage a little bit more, but then your message should be there. Right, the message, the point of the presentation should resonate with the audience. So majority of the speech should be about the subject, the topic, what it's about. It shouldn't be more about fun. So don't take the fun out of it, because the fun is great. Just include more seriousness. Let us know what you're about.
My name is Haley Blades, and I'm here to talk about why I run track and what's my motivation. Why I run track has always been a question I've asked myself for as long as I've ran. Track has always been a second sport for me. It was never my primary focus. My primary focus was basketball. I want to pursue basketball. I wanted to get better at it as a sport that I just wanted to fully take on. But I noticed that sometimes I have it's the seasons where I'm not always going to be playing basketball, and I need something to stay in shape for that. So I chose to run track, and my first year running track, I ran at my middle school, and I did extremely well from coming back from when I was 3 and started running track for my first time. So I did extremely well in the events that I was put in, which was the 200, 400, and the 800. I wanted to
pursue track more after I had realized that I can do this as a thing that I'm actually good at and wouldn't just like waste that talent. After that, my second year into track, my mom has put me into more things dealing with track, as far as putting me into an AAU team called Delray Beach Blazers. I was running for them and they taught me more about how I should run for track and how and it taught me more about how I could well, they basically just they didn't teach me the things that Alpha Elite has taught me so far. They didn't teach me everything that Alpha Elite has taught me so far, but they got me to the point where I went from running 113s in the 400 to running 103, and I felt really proud of myself, and I felt like that I could go further and do more with my track, with track. They even got me to to practice events such as long jump and hurdles that I've never really gave it a thought about running, participating in those sports, though I've never done them in meets. Their field sports are still good to have in the back pocket to do. Afterwards, coming into my third year of running track, I thought about how I want to get my times from 400s underneath the 103s and how I want to run under 1 minute and how I want to better myself and how I want to keep doing how I broke my PR and how I'm breaking records, and I just want to be able to do and looking to better myself in track.
So you decided to join Alpha Elite to better your track career?
Yes.
Okay. Comments. Great posture for your age group. You gave us a history of your background, your accomplishments, your defeats, your expectation and your goals.
How can you tie in your education with your track?
Dealing with discipline on how I listen to how I'm supposed to be instructed to run 800 or even running on 400 or 200. The events that I run, I have to put that into my classroom environment, and I have to get instructions from my teachers in order to do my work and get my education.
Very good.
You sometimes feel like it's chaotic with having track at middle school, basketball, and school together.
Yes, because I do feel like that it's a lot to handle with dealing with. I have to go to Monday through Thursday, have track practice, and then Friday I have to run basketball. I have to play basketball, and like the same thing on the nights of the 300s where I had basketball practice and track practice. Dealing with that, I realized that I cannot do both sports at the same time, which has caused me that I have completely quit basketball.
We're very detailed about track. As Mom says, in the next presentation, instead of Mom having to ask you how it applies, we should already hear that from your presentation, how track applies to your academics. Because we don't want Alpha Elite to just be about track, right? Because not everybody here is going to make a career from track and field. But everybody here is supposed to become successful because of Alpha Elite, because of all the disciplines, because of all the hard work, because of everything you learn here. So we want to know more how the disciplines, being a part of being an alphite, applies to you outside of track, within track and outside of track.
All right. I'm gonna I think our president probably should comment. He probably will at the end. So I'm kind of looking forward to what he has to say, particularly regarding your presentation. Right? But let me just say this. What I like about you personally is you're resilient, right? And what I mean by that is, you know, you pick yourself up. I've been very critical of you, you know that, right? If you go back to the tapes from the first presentation, I was extremely critical of you. I thought that you was not prepared, and I didn't hesitate or sugarcoat it. I told you, right? And to see you bounce back in this fashion, you know, it's very impressive, right? Because that's what we're about. We want to know that you're growing and that you're improving. And I don't think anything could better epitomize that level of growth, right? I know you've responded just from last month to this month, not just with the presentation itself, but just with practice. You know, the going has been rough, as you know, from just punctuality or consistency at practice to just being one of those kids that's just consistently, when I turn that corner, you know, I know you're going to be here. I can expect that I'm going to get some work. Again, was it on Monday? I brought the parents together, brought everybody, and I was critical, particularly with you and TT. And on Wednesday, you guys rebounded, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to compliment them. Let me see if this is just, you know, I just don't want it to be something that you're just coming back to give me a good day because I chewed you out the day before. And then you came back Thursday and even did better. So I had planned on basically letting you guys know that I really appreciate the last couple of days of practice, right? But to watch you relate with respect to the presentation itself, to just basically watch you evolve from just basically didn't put it into work the last presentation. You tried to wing it and it obviously didn't work, right? And you came back and you're actually one of the better ones. You know, I don't want to get into comparing, you know, but just in terms of your delivery, your posture, how eloquently you're speaking, you're projecting yourself, it's like night and day. So I don't know if it was always, in you, right? I don't know if it was always in you, and based on your lack of preparation the last time, you know, it showed, but you really did a good presentation, all right? And it's consistent with your
Learn the class.
You guys over here still running.
Scared of a little lizard.
I can't do lizard.
All right, let's not be distracted, all right? So it is something that the rest of the team can just learn from us, all right? It's not every race that you're going to run that is going to be the perfect race, all right? It's just where you go from there, all right? Final thought that resonates with me when she spoke about her experience doing track is she's doing the juggling act, trying to juggle basketball, you know? And sometimes she comes to practice and she has basketball. And I don't want to hear, and I tell her, I don't want to hear that you're tired from basketball. This is track, all right? So to juggle that, you know, that is something that you're gonna have to, that's gonna follow through. It's gonna transfer later on where you're gonna have to juggle sports in college with academics. All right. So overall, a very good presentation. Content was great. Delivery, I believe, was exceptional. Just keep up the work. There's something that everybody can learn from. All right.
before the president speaks, I just want to say I'm very proud of all you young ladies. Right? I think I'm seeing future leaders here. You know, I'm saddened that I don't see some young men here because I see what these women are doing, and it just tells me that women are really going to run the world. You know, there's some things that you guys are doing that makes me proud. I'm not a parent here. I'm a parent, but I don't have any child here. I don't have any children here. But I feel like a father when I come here. I'm proud of every single one of you guys, just in everything that you do. Even when Crystal act a little lazy, and you know, and Melita clown around sometimes, and Haley try to yap it up with Ari. But at the end of the day, listen, when we go out and we're at track meets, we are the standard, girls. I mean, I don't know if you guys realize that. I have a niece that run for a track club in Palm Beach. And they are talking about Alpha Elite before they get to the meet. They're worried about if they're going to be lining up with Alpha Elite. That's what. So you guys are the standard. They're actually trying to skip race if they see an Alpha Elite inside the race. They're trying to go to the next race. They're afraid to run against you guys. You guys are the standard. Right? So our jersey represents something, our name represents something. So when you go out there, remember that you're representing excellence, right? So conduct yourself as if you know that. Act like you know it, right? Because everybody else sees it, and I'm proud of you guys. Right?
Can I say something as a parent? I do have a child here. I would like to commend you all of Alpha Elite coaches and board members for the work that you guys are putting into our kids.
Thank you.
I know it's a lot of work. As an educator, you've taken on a big responsibility to come here on Saturdays and you know, all your off time when you guys can be doing other things and focus on what we're trying to do. I also would like to say to some of the kids that think that parents, that we force you to do some things. If Joe Jackson didn't push Michael and Tito and all the rest of it with the Jackson 5, right? If Venus and Serena, mother and father, didn't push them, they wouldn't be where they are. So behind, when you look at all of these athletes or performances or whatever, actress and actors, there was someone that pushed them to do what they're doing because there's something that we see in you that you might not see in yourself. Okay? So just take and embrace your talent, use it, because there's some people that wish they could do some of the things that you could do. I wish I was able to run. I play basketball. I'm not a runner. Okay? So I'm saying this just to tell you guys that when you say, oh, I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that, we believe in you. We see something in you, and we're just trying to make sure that you have all the opportunity to excel.
To touch on that too. And instead of saying you were forced or pushed, start thinking of it as support. Stop using push and force.
Right.
Elaine Thompson is the fastest woman as of today in the universe. And I've watched an interview with her where she stated that her mother nor her father was never at a practice or a track meet. But neither her grandmother, but the support that she got from her grandmother, not being there but telling her to go, that's what makes her the fastest woman today. So stop looking at it as force or push and think of it as, oh, mom and dad, or, you know, even the coaches and stuff. You guys are blessed, very blessed. So start looking at it as support.
I just want to say thanks to all the parents for working with the kids, because we've seen the improvement from the very first time. So good job parents and good job kids. And TT, Crystal and Melita, you guys did well as usual. Great job. But most improved that I've seen today was Bailey and Kristen. Great job, ladies. And also Ariana, great job. But I wanted Melika, you did a great job as well, you know. So great job in all. But Haley, I want to talk about Haley because in the last presentation, Haley did very poorly. As Coach Chris said, she didn't prepare at all. But based on what Coach Chris told me and Coach Jimmy told me on the test we did, what you call the test, Chris? Remember when they did the jumping and all that stuff?
Performance indicator.
The performance indicator. They told me that Haley had one of the greatest numbers. So based on that and the complaint that I was getting from the coach is that you weren't giving as much as you could. So what I saw here today indicates that you were just giving just enough to get by. And that tells me that you can go above and beyond, but you weren't pushed enough. So from what I've seen here today, and I hope you guys realize that, we are going to even push you harder. Because we know what you guys are capable of. And we do not accept mediocre. We excel to be the best, and that's what we expect from you. So Haley, going forward, Coach Jimmy is going to be on you like white on the rice. Okay? Because we know what you're capable of. Okay, so we expect that from you all the time. So you see what happens when you prepare? You see what happens, right? Coach Chris was hard on you the last time, right? And he gave you nothing but compliments today. So that shows me that you can do it. And all of you can do it. And all of you guys prepare. And I like that. So going forward, I hope next time I don't see any papers, as Coach Lee says, or any cell phones. I want to see it from here next time. Just let it flow freely. Just come and just speak freely next time. Okay, guys? So great job, guys.